Hey, Carlos.
Hi, Nadine.
Oh, so wonderful to spend some time with you. I mean, I remember our wondrous days when I met you through the Mediterranean Opera Studio and Festival, the brainchild of Jack Livigny, the lovely
Yeah.
tenor. Um, and I just remember when I met you there, and I think I doing Tosca at the time.
Oh, yes,
Yeah,
Tosca.
and I just remember, you know, just you just helping me to feel so confident about being in that role and just giving me a few little techniques along with all the other wondrous like Kamal Khan and Lily Midichoyo and David Galland. I mean, there's so many wondrous people that are on that program. But I just had a special affinity with you, and I really thank you for just doing that work and all the work you do, with singers. It is, but it is a wonderful opportunity, and I went four times to study
Wow.
there. Um,
Yeah,
yeah,
it's it's a very it's a very specific career,
yeah,
and inside of all of this specificity, there's so many layers and craft and
yeah,
things one should master.
yeah,
The
exactly.
language, the staging, the style, the history. It's very, very crafty and very detailed.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so it was great to be able to, do that there as well. So, hi everybody. I am Nadine Benjamin, the intuitive Verdi soprano. I'm a certified NLP mind coach. I'm a certified high performance coach, and I'm also a professional opera singer who sings all over the world. And I love my biggest passion is to connect, champion and celebrate people. I just love it. And today, oh, we get to celebrate Dr. Carla Conde. No, so, Dr. Carlos Conde, acclaimed by the press as an interpreter of great intelligence, versatility, and warmth. Carlos Conde is an actor and musician with a 30-year career interpreting the operatic genre. Carlos has performed alongside luminaries such as Luciano Pavarotti and Placido Domingo. Dr. Conde is widely known as a vocal pedagogue in his role as a professor, and as an academic serves as an evaluator of nationally accredited institutions for the Middle States Commission on Higher Education. Thank you so much. And as I always say, everybody, um, Carlos Conde and I are not medics or doctors or psychiatrists, but we're just here to give a little personal development support at this time and to find something new and wondrous to learn or to take in. But if you need that support, please, please, please pick up the phone. And if you know someone else who needs that support, but you know that they wouldn't do it, please give them a call and pick up the phone to them too. We really, really encourage it. So, hey, oh my goodness. I know for you right now it is 7 a.m. in the morning. So, which is why I'm being a little bit more gentler than I normally would be because I don't want to break your ears. But I do want to like learn from your wondrousness. So, how what has been your kind of musical career and your journey? How did it start?
Well, I often think of my journey, and it always brings a smile to my heart because it was just so full of so many passion and fantasy, and I mean it's like almost like the journey of a fairy tale. I'm in this island in the middle of the Caribbean.
Yeah.
uh, when I was a student in high school, I was a very good student, and I went to a very good school. And the options were either you become a scientist, or you become a lawyer, or you become an engineer.
Yeah.
So I chose science. I was good at it. I thought I was gonna become a doctor,
Yeah.
and there I went to the university, and I did my first 2 years in science school.
Yeah.
But all of a sudden, one day, walking from the math building to the chemistry building, I had to cross the theater of the university. It was a big campus. And I look at the theater and I'm like, and I look, there were young people outside of the theater with scripts, rehearsing and playing music. I said, what are they doing here? What are they doing here in this university?
Yeah.
And finally, I was so curious, and one day I stopped by, and I said, like, who are you? What are you doing? And then they say, we are artists, and we are students that we study art here. I said, what do you mean you study art here? Yeah, we study singing, and we study drama, and we study dance. And I'm like, at a university? And then they said, yes, this is our career path. We're studying to be artists. I had no idea that that was even an option. I never thought that was a process, or one process for an artist to develop. So so much was my curiosity, and I was like, because I played piano at the time, I had an
Oh,
okay voice. Yes, and then one day, they say like, okay, come on, sing. And they invited me to sing. And I just sang. I used to sing in church. So I sang a hymn from the church that I belonged to. And they were like, wow, you have a very powerful voice. Why don't you join the university choir?
okay.
And I'm like, I didn't even know you could sing. It's like, no, not only you can sing in the university, if you're accepted, they will pay your tuition. I was like, wow, this sounds like a deal.
Yeah.
So took me there to the music school in that university, and I sang. I sang for the director, the choir director. I was a bass, and that they were always short on basses.
Yeah.
So they took me immediately, and I was still shocked. I was like, wow. And then the director of the choir, she was doing the directing the opera choir on the professional opera company. And I remember it was Turandot. And I'd never seen an opera in my life. I had no idea. I've never sung in Italian. I remember seeing the score, and you know how all of the parts are. Everybody was already on page 40. I was still on page 1 because I was going pentagram by pentagram. I didn't know you read the score by blocks. And, but they were so loving. And then they took me, and I was singing. And through the rehearsals in that choir, singers were at the Music Conservatory, which is a very, very high institution here in Puerto Rico. They said,
Yeah.
maybe you should try for a soloist. So I went to the conservatory. I had my audition, and I was accepted. And 10 months after that, I was performing the lead role in Così fan tutte in the Don Alfonso. So everything happened so fast.
Yeah.
Then in that performance of Così fan tutte, the people from the Casals Festival
Yeah.
were there attending. So immediately they offered me like a little part in the Casals Festival in 1987.
Yeah.
And then after that, I met some people that were related to John Dorneman, who is the big coach at the Metropolitan Opera. And so I went and I had an audition. And then out of the blue, she picked up the phone and she called the Juilliard School. I had no idea what Juilliard School was or Metropolitan.
I always wanted to go to Juilliard.
I had no idea. Oh, I'm going into this building, not knowing what it is. And I had this audition, and then they gave me a letter, and I was accepted. But the interesting thing is like all of this, since I saw the kids in the theater performing with guitars and their scripts, and at the Juilliard School, it was all of that was in less than 2 year, in less of a span of a 2 year. It was so fast. and I had no idea uh, what was happening. And thus started my career. I won the Metropolitan Opera competition in New York. Then I got an agent. I went to Germany. I did a fest job. It was in a fantastic house in Bonn. It was run by the son of Mario del Monaco. So
Yeah.
all of the artists that went there were superb artists. My debut with the company was in Fanchulla del West, and then
Oh,
the was Placido Domingo. So it's like I'm there performing, but still learning from such amazing, amazing artists. And then I stayed there for a while. Then I came back to America, and then I did many tours with the New York City Opera, with Teatro Lirico d'Europa. I mean, many, many tours. And basically in the continental United States, in every little medium and big company, and that's it. And that's
that's
how.
amazing. I mean, when I listened to, you were obviously meant to sing. There seems to be this kind of serendipitous. I do think that there is a divine plan for each one of us. And it seems that you were willing to listen to the signs and you just kept walking and trusting and walking in faith. That just, it's just amazing. And then to have those experiences.
Yes, yes. It's like things. It's like yeah, things. If things are meant to happen, it doesn't matter where you are. It's
Yeah,
like there is this thing in your heart. It's like I didn't know. No one in my house sang. We
yeah,
were not sick, but
mm,
it's very interesting. From all of my siblings, it's like we all did different things. By some reason, my father put me in piano lessons. He was he was not a musician.
yeah,
My mother wasn't, neither my sisters or my brother.
yeah,
But why? Why me? Why? What is that I was the one to do
yeah,
that? And then it's very interesting. It's like my environment was
yeah.
not leading to that at all.
Oh, yeah,
Not my neighborhood. We were not rich. I
yeah,
never saw an opera in my life. It's
yeah.
like it was not leading to that.
I
But it's
really,
like,
I really identify with that because I mean, I didn't have opera at all in my life either. So it is that thing. I do think that if you're destined to get here, you will.
yeah,
You know.
it's like
Um,
the famous. It's a not. It's like an acquaintance, Sir Walter Bodmer. He's a uh, big science genetist in London, in England. He says that he's a pianist, and he says, well, maybe if he was born in Mozart's family, he said,
mm,
sure, he would have not been Mozart. But he
yeah.
said Mozart was born in the Sahara Desert. For sure, Mozart was going to be Mozart.
I love that.
Yes. I mean, it's this thing. It doesn't matter where we are placed. We are going to be whomever we are. And
Yeah.
very interesting because I am in this island.
Mm,
I, I mean, the probabilities of being an opera singer, an opera
yeah.
educator, were very, 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 very small.
Yeah. In Puerto Rico. Yeah. Yeah.
And here I am. Here I
So,
am.
so how did all of this develop into teaching? Because I mean, you have so many students from all over the world. How did that happen?
Yeah, the teaching was very interesting. As I was singing, my first studies, one of my first studies was drama. So I always approach opera from the perspective of the text of
Mm,
Shakespeare or Chekhov or
mm,
Tennessee Williams or you
mm,
know Goethe. So it's like I always saw opera as a magnified play. I never saw it
yeah,
like my piano music. Like my piano
mm,
music, I'm there seeing, how the dominant chord, all of the sudden cadences into the tonic and things like that.
mm,
But opera for me was different. Opera for me was acting. But with acting, you have to use the voice. And I was like, I want to use the voice to color the words. I want to use the voice to be emphatic about something. So it's like saying a monologue in a play. You don't have the guidance that the composer gives you. I mean, I can say, the big Iago monologue in Othello, and all of a sudden, but when you sing Verdi's Othello, you have to sing specific notes and you have to sing with specific intention that are within the frame of a pentagram and of a music score. And that gave me a lot of curiosity.
Yeah.
So for me, the voice, the development of how many colors can we do with a voice? How can we maximize the use of our saying in pitches, in rhythm, in colors, in dynamics? So I became fascinated by the voice, and it was in 2003. And also, before I said that, something that I really cherish about my career is that I was ready for change. So at the beginning, I was a bass. And then I remember when I was ready to change, I've always embraced change with curiosity.
Yeah.
So it's like the bass baritone. And then I did, when the chance was to sing the buffo parts, which is the ones that I did the most, then I embraced that and I worked with the best artists like Renato Capecchi, Enzo Dara, Spiro Malas, all of these amazing buffo artists. And then there was a time in where I embraced the baritone part. And that I worked with Mark Oswald, and I worked with Sherry Milnes, and I worked with great baritons. And I liked how the voice was changing from era to era, or from repertoire to repertoire. And then in 2001, I had a little issue with my singing that I couldn't resolve. It was something. It was something about my singing that was a little compromise, and I thought at the time that it was reflux, and I just didn't know. So I had to stop singing, and I stopped singing for like a year, and I started seeing, different people, doctors, voice teachers, to find out. Oops, sorry. It was gonna.
That's okay. That's okay. Sometimes that happens. I tell you, sometimes somebody comes out of the
Yeah.
stream. We've been really working at the moment to
Well,
kind of
well,
work with whatever happens.
human race. So I had that kind of like, I was intrigued by that kind of like little thing in my voice. So I stopped, and then I worked with a wonderful baritone, uh, Gabriel Baquier, very very famous in France, and I worked with him, and we started like uh, seeing how to produce the voice again, how to, in a more detailed kind of like uh, path,
Yeah.
rather than the passion that brought me to the stage. Now I was like, we were working into this kind of like more detailed vocal, just vocal, which I never had. I always train as a performer, but I this was a time for me to train as a vocalist, only focus on the vocal instrument. And I learned so much, and I wanted to learn more, and I wasn't ready to go on stage because I wanted to go on stage as soon as I fixed that thing that wasn't working. So I didn't want to go on stage yet, and so I said, okay, I'm gonna work in New York because I was living in New York. I'm gonna work in New York with my teacher Mignon Don, and Mignon was very close with Gabriel. They kind of like design a plan on how to approach my development. That kind of like
So wonderful when you have teachers who want to help a singer design the plan.
team team teaching. I'm
Yeah.
very fortunate that my teachers, and I work with more than 18 top teachers, they all work in team, and they were really looking for my best interest. So I remember when Marlena, who was my teacher at Juilliard, she had cancer at the time, so she stopped teaching, and I went to study with Trish McCaffrey, amazing teacher. So when I went back to Marlena, when Marlena was better, Marlena heard me, and Marlena, I love her. She's like my mother. I mean, and Marlena says, I like what you're doing with Trish. I want you to go back and stay with her for a while, and then we'll check. Then I go back to Trish, and then Trish says, like, okay, I will teach you only if at least twice a year you go back to Marlena to see your progress. So finally, I took the decision to stay with Trish, but I was always in communication with Marlena. Then I went to the Aspen Music Festival, and I met Beverly Johnson, top teacher, the teacher of Anna Moco and Renata Tebaldi and Rene Fleming. And we were working on this baritone switch. And I remember I was there for a summer. I came back to Trish, and then Trish said, I think you should stay with Beverly. I like what she's doing. Even though our techniques are very different, in your case, you can do that approach. And back to Beverly, and Beverly said the same. Okay, but I take you. Beverly was 96. But I want you to keep contact with Trish, so then you don't lose whatever she taught you.
Exactly.
And likewise, when I went with Gabrielle, then Beverly passed away. I went back to Trish, and then Trish was a student of Mignon Don. So everything like interconnected, and it's like now I'm teaching. Just to make the long story shorter, I decided to go to university. I didn't have my degrees in music. And Mignon Don, she was teaching at the City University of New York. So I said, like, while I'll keep strengthening this technical part, I'm going to go with Mignon and I will get a degree. It's like instead of me staying private, I will get a degree. The work with Mignon was amazing. And she took me all the way to a doctorate degree.
Wow.
Oh, it was amazing. It was amazing work. She's amazing. But the most amazing thing is like when it was my time to start teaching. And here is the thing that I really cherish the most. I knew how to deal with my voice, but I didn't know anything about sopranos or mezzos or tenors or passaggio or any of this. So when I finished my doctorate degree, one of the sure paths that you do, you end up in a university teaching. And it took me 1 year. I took 1 year before I took my first job. And that's when I went to all of my teachers. I told them, I told Marlena, I told Trish, I told John, I told Anna Soviero, whom I love, is my beautiful colleague and mentor. And I said, John Dorneman, and I said, I'm going to teach. And then they said, we are going to teach you how to teach. So I was there in their homes, taking notes, trying to understand the voices. The beautiful thing is like my first year of teaching, I got a job at Rutgers University. All of my teachers, Trish, Marlena, Mignon, and Dorneman, they say, bring me your students. We want to see you teaching them. So, and they start giving me hints. So there is me at Marlena's home, one of the busiest teachers in New York City, and there in her piano, and I have my student. I'm teaching my student, and she's in the couch taking notes. Then she's student can go now. And then she's with me. No, Carlos, when you do this approach in the woman's voice, remember the transition is on. And then with Mignon Don, we did it in Italy. I sat next to her and I taught. So my teachers, and that's my beautiful thing. It's like they didn't only uh, form me as the artist that I became.
Mm.
And I love them. I love them from my first teacher to my last teacher.
Yeah.
That they formed me to be the teacher I became.
Yeah.
So it's like they have taken me. It's like John Dorneman. I have worked nonstop
Yeah.
with John Dorneman for 31 years.
Wow.
Coach, she's my mentor. She
Yeah.
has been my boss, and now she's
Yeah.
my colleague.
Yeah.
Until 3 months ago,
Yeah.
we were teaching people together, doing team teaching.
Wow.
So it's like that's how I became this teacher, and then the international part of the teaching was because of Jack.
Yes, Jack Livigny. Oh, he's incredible.
Oh, amazing, amazing.
Yeah.
So with Jack is something very special.
Mm.
I'm there at the Manis School of Music,
Mm.
top school, and all of a sudden I have these tenors,
Yeah.
very good tenors,
Yeah.
but I was confused, and I did not know Jack.
Yeah.
Or a friend of mine,
Yeah.
Christine Moore. I know her from the Juilliard times. I know her for
Yeah.
30 years. And Christine is very good friends with Jack. And
Yeah.
I look at the blog about Jack, and I'm like, wow, he's serious, and
Yeah.
he has a method, and
Yeah.
I like the way that he says
Yeah.
it. So I was curious, and I said, like, Christine, can you arrange for me? I
Yeah.
wasn't singing at the time. It's like for me to have a lesson with Jack.
Yeah.
I want to check him out. So
Yeah.
I go to uh, his studio in Musical America, 27th Street and 6th Avenue in New York City. And I go and I knock the door and I say, like, my name is Carlos. And he's like, yes, yes, you have your lesson now. He's like, sure. I didn't tell him that I was a voice teacher. I didn't tell him that I
Yeah.
was the new teacher. I just told him
Yeah.
that I wanted to sing. And
Yeah.
so we went over the music and he taught me. He taught me.
Yeah.
When we finished, he said, so what do you want to do with this? When is your audition? When is your next thing?
Yeah.
Need help. And I said, well, Jack, now I have to tell you the truth.
Yeah.
No longer singing. I
Yeah.
just lesson because I wanted to see what you were about.
Yeah.
But what I want you
Mm.
is to help me teach my tenors.
Yes.
And he was like, oh, okay.
Mm.
So I remember I gathered all of my tenors,
Mm.
including Nito Rodriguez, who is one of the most outstanding Mexican leaders right now, and he runs the big opera studio Beckman. And I remember I took them to Jack, and I remember I put them all there.
Mm.
I say, like, okay, I'm gonna go for a coffee. You do your tenor talks.
Yeah.
I want to know what you're talking about.
Yeah. Oh.
I want to be completely away
Mm.
because it's tenor talks. And I
Yeah.
go, and then Jack, for like a whole year, he helped me teach my tenors. It
Oh,
was
wow.
ability to help them succeed at Manes.
Yeah.
And that was amazing. And then after 2 years, Benito, who
Yeah.
was a student and also became his student, talking
Yeah.
about this teaching,
Yeah.
who was in charge of this program in Mexico,
Yeah.
invited both Jack and me and Nelly. That's
Yeah.
where three of us we met.
Yeah.
That's where we became a trio. So
Oh.
Jack and Nelly, both of them, they decided, okay, Carlos, you have to come
Mm.
to Sicily with us. You are one of us. And that's where it started. And then working there in Sicily, because in that program with Jack, we have people from more than 35, 40 countries.
Yeah.
People from countries, Abkhazia, in, in Georgia, Russia. I mean, countries that I had no idea
Yeah.
existed.
Yeah.
Yet people go there.
Yeah.
So some of these singers, when they go back to their countries, they tell their teachers, how their experience was. And then, they are very kind. And the teachers, they contact me and they say like, okay, I love what you did with my students to come and teach my students in my country. So that's how I end up going to Sri Lanka, to Malta, to so many places. So
So,
it's all a beautiful divine order chain.
absolutely. So this thing around opera talent and education. I mean, you have been the opera talent and you are in the education of it as well. I mean, it's so wonderful to see this amalgamation, and now you're now serving the opera talent and helping to educate as well, which is really wonderful.
Yes, and something that in all of this fairy tale that is so beautiful, of course there are other things. There are pages of struggle, or pages of understanding,
Yeah.
other perspectives. So yes, we get sick and we have to stop singing. But the thing that has worried me the most is exactly this: education. That going to all of these countries, you realize, especially with rising economies like Sri Lanka or Mexico or Colombia, and then you wonder, it's like, will these people have an opportunity? Will these people have the opportunity that I had to go and live this fairy tale, this fantastic thing, this, like, fantasy becoming reality, Juilliard or Covent Garden, or all of these things, and that's the thing. It's like there are many Mozarts in the Sahara deserts.
Yes. Yeah.
It just takes someone to go, and I think I have made my passion for the last 2 years to go to these places and to see to how many can I open a door.
Yeah.
And it's difficult when you translate their currencies into either the pound or the dollar or the euro. It's nearly impossible for them to have a lesson. So that's when I have to use my power, to call Nelly or to call Jack, and twist them to help me. And I have to tell you, all of them have been so nice, and we go places and we work together, and it's really amazing. It's tough. It's tough because there is a moment, like, for example, if I'm in London, it's like, how can you pay a rent, and how can you do all of your things in pounds,
Yeah.
but you're earning rupees,
I know. Yeah.
or you're pesos, you'll never make it. So it's very, very hard. So now we are moving into this other kind of, like, strategy to find foundations,
Yeah.
that can sponsor, the training of this amazing talent. And David Garland is amazing. I mean, he
Yes. Yeah.
goes to Chile, he goes to Argentina, he goes to Brazil, he goes to South Africa. I mean, he's everywhere. So it's like all of this thing of brother. Nelly was in China, working. She goes to Australia. Jack is in Malta. I mean, we all moving, but it's hard. It's tough. It's tough. It's tough to find the funding to help the singers, and not only the singers in these countries, singers in England.
Yes.
In England, it's like I have so many British students, and it's so difficult for them to train, because training as an opera singer, it's very expensive.
Yeah.
And I see what they have to do. It's like one is the wife of a pastor, the other one, her husband is sick. I mean, it's difficult, and it's like, and it's first. So it's like, just last week, I taught 52 lessons.
Wow.
And it's like, I'm blessed because I don't have debt and I live in my own house. So I don't have to go with a huge amount of money to cover my expenses. My expenses are very little, but like 20 to 30% of those lessons, especially at this time nowadays, pandemic, you can't charge. People have no jobs. So it's like, it's like, it's difficult. So for me, not to have my singers stop their training, we have to come up with these agreements of like, for the next 2-3 months, find more to eat. Because, and I'll take care of your training. And it's like, and I have my beautiful colleagues are doing the same. Otherwise, this education of amazing talent will not only stop, it will delay. When the doors open, the singers are not going to be informed.
I mean, it's so interesting that you say that. I mean, I'm one of those singers from the UK who, I don't know what I would have done if, I hadn't been really determined, and then, to find money to source what I needed to do. I mean, it was a very steep hill in a very short space of time. And also, like the people that you talk about, I mean, Jack Livigny helped me to believe in myself.
Yes.
Nelly Midachoyu, like she gave me the biggest kick up the bum and to say, I know you don't understand what you've got, but I do. So get on with it. And this is what you need to, and that was really beautiful. And, and yourself, I have, you and Anthea Parashchak and Michael Harper, who have all been giving me, like you say, different nuggets of information that have helped me to stay aligned. And like, and yes, are also supporting me now at this time when I'm, all my work's been cancelled for the next 8 months. And so what I do is like what you're doing is the only thing we can do is serve and stay in that positive frame of mind for the people that don't have the energy.
Yeah.
Now.
Yeah.
No.
It's hard. It's expensive, and it's like, and that bridge in between amazing student and upcoming artist is very fragile. Like, for example, my friend, she became a big, huge soprano, amazing soprano, Veronica Villarroel from Chile. We were roommates at when we were both at Juilliard. And I remember when she came and she said, "Oh, I'm so happy I got my first job. And my first international job. I'm going to sing Mimi in Lyon. And I am so, so happy. I'm going to get $2,000 a performance. And I'm going to sing 3 performances." And we were all celebrating because it's one of us that is going to make it. Well, she makes $6,000, but she needed to be there for like 2 months.
Of course.
Pay an apartment.
Exactly.
For her ticket. And then pay like 15% for her agent, and then 50% in taxes. She came out of her first job with a debt that was tripled the money that she made.
I cannot tell you, Carlos, the amount of times I have ended up on that side as well. I can't tell you the amount of times, but I've had to do it in order to get to a space that I can actually exercise my art form.
Yeah, it's very, and once you lose that track, like one of my colleagues, she was gonna sing Turandot in Spain. She had been at the Metropolitan Opera, famous soprano. She couldn't sing for 2 years. Now she's coming back. Her amazing, but she doesn't have the resources for the seed money because you get your salary at the end.
Yeah, exactly.
Her big salary at the end, but she needed to pay for her travel ticket, to pay for her food, rehearsal time, and the apartment.
Yeah, and then still, if you need extra training while you're there, because you want to get extra coaching, it's like
her to get whatever they were going to pay her a big fee, in order for her to get $20,000.
Yeah,
to put out front at least 8.
Yeah, it's very expensive, and it's a very expensive art form for all of us. I think, and it does, and this is why I had to become a coach, Carlos, because I realized that if my mindset didn't support my talent, the talent would not be enough.
Of course, and it's the mind, and it's like the talent is the vehicle,
Yeah.
but the mindset
Yes.
is what everything is about. You
Yeah.
go there. That's the thing. This is when this becomes very beautiful. Every sacrifice, because then you go to this in front of this audience,
Yeah.
and you put aside the struggle, the pain,
Yes.
fear,
Yeah.
and you go to involve them, to change them,
Yeah.
to make a better society,
Yeah.
to have these people move,
Yeah.
and then after that performance, through empathy, you move them and they can make the best decisions.
Yeah.
Usually I have this thing, I hope one day, my singers or myself can perform in front of somebody that has to make this terrible decision. And it's like, I hope my voice and my music, or the music of my colleagues or my students, can make them think better.
Yes. Yes.
And then they can go out,
Yeah.
fulfilled with hope.
Yes. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying,
And
especially now.
self-belief as well. That self-belief. I mean, I just don't know what I would do without you and Michael and Anthea. Like, and because you believe in me, and I know that you believe in me, and I really feel that, and I feel that that is part of the package of what we do. It's really, we don't get there alone. We need mentors. We need our colleagues. We need our team.
Yeah.
It's really, really important.
The most important, and why do I believe in you, and why do I believe in my singers, is because, yes, amazing talents, amazing voice. No one can sing Trovatore or Aida better than you, but you are using that to be an agent of change.
Yes, exactly.
And that's what we all need to invest on. We need agents of change, so then our society can keep on developing, keep on growing within all episodes. It's like, and that's what I'm very excited. I'm very excited to now, in the middle of this pandemic, build these 52 agents of change at whatever price. And this, when the curtain raises, whether it's in a community park, whether it's in a very large theater, or whether it's in a home, when the curtain raises, are 52 agents of change.
Yes. Yeah.
We are down on the floor. The society needs to be lifted up, and that's our job.
Exactly.
Is to help people.
Yeah, exactly. To champion, to raise up, to elevate. Yes, absolutely. Oh my gosh, we're kind of running out of time. I could speak to you all day. I'm so glad that you're joining me on my mentorship, to help lead my mentorship program, Everybody Can, because I just feel that you are just such an agent of change, and I really respect you and all the work you do. I mean, I'm sure people are going to want to know if you've got any tips that you could give them.
Well, my tips, and I tell my singers, it's like, this art can be very aesthetic. We want the sound to be forward and back and glottal and spacey, and it can become very aesthetic. But within all of that beautiful aesthetic, we need to be empathic. We need to be honest. We need to be unique. Yesterday, I was watching this video in where I saw Magda Olivero and Toti Dal Monte, and then you see all of these singers and Virginia Tsian. They were so fabulous, but they were so unique. It's like you can see their voices are very distinctive,
Yeah.
and it's amazing.
Yeah.
And to be true, and to know that within your voice is the power to move and to change.
Yeah.
And that those are my tips. My tips are to embrace yourself as an agent of change, as a healer,
Yeah.
as a body
Yeah.
that will lead the construction of this society.
Yes.
And those are my tips. Perform, sing, true, honest.
Yeah.
Honest, honest, honest.
Ah, just thank you so much. Oh my gosh, I don't want to leave you. Just, if you are watching this, I just want to thank you for taking the time to watch this. And as you can see, Dr. Carlos Conde is just such an agent of change and a champion for all of his singers that he has, and not just his singers, but any program that he serves on, or any people that he engages. And I even love watching you perform. You have been absolutely, I've seen you perform, and you're incredible, and your diction, and the thing I said, you talk about being the buffo. I mean, you're just so funny, and you're fully engaged, and you're fully alive, and I really appreciate you in my life, and thank you for mentoring me, and for just being here and showing me how to doing what I love, my singing, but also my mentoring and leading other people into that stage of self-belief and empowering their state of mind. Thank you for being one of the people of light along my journey. I just thank you so much. So before we leave, I know you're always talking about things like discipline and professionalism and just being a good colleague and stuff like that. You're always talking to me about those things. Do you have any final thoughts before we say bye to everybody?
I think it's the time now is to prepare. The time now is to to be in isolation. And this time of isolation, being home, it's a good time to prepare and to really come to a good vision of what your strategy is going to be.
Yeah.
Sometimes, we don't have time to think.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we need this time. So the first thing is like, now that we have this amazing opportunity to be isolated and think.
Yes.
Use it to see how are you going to walk the path and the things that we must do. We must be aware of the needs of music, but we need to be aware of the needs of why music. Why is music so important? So learn, and try to develop an understanding of your truest you. And through this time, explore on how your truest you can become the performer you are.
Woo! Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. Oh, you're just, I want to give you a big hug. Thank you for being one of the greatest influences in my life. And thank you so much, along with your other esteemed colleagues that you've already said, Jack Livigny, Nelly Choyu, and also for me, people like Kamal Khan, and David Gowland. And, so just thank you so much for shining this light on us today. And and wherever you are, whatever you're doing, I hope this has given you just a moment of joy in your day today. And thank you for being in connection with us today, and for helping us to share a message. And we hope we have been of service. All right, take care now, everybody. Bye. Carlos, take care. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.